Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hello.
And I'm good to go on my end
Interwebs. Let me
whenever
make sure we're
you're
live.
ready.
YouTube is telling me I've got an excellent connection right now,
Ooh.
but I can't see. There we are. All right. Great. Here we
Wait, what did I text Josh this week?
for.
I feel like I texted Josh something. What did I text you guys? Something like super unhinged.
Oh, well. It's not totally shocking. Let's see.
Oh. We should just open Monday's show with the Soviet Union national anthem and throw Disney and Google into the gulag.
I'll talk about that at the end. I've got some words.
Okay.
For that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I will get us started.
Welcome to the Fifth and Goal Sports Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Aaron, Josh, and Johnny.
Welcome to the show. Listeners, viewers, good to have you here. Josh is on vacation, so dead.
Pretending to be a pirate.
Yeah, he's having a good time. But Johnny's here. We're back, and we've got a lot to break down tonight. We've got college football. The calendar, we have hit November, folks. And that means different things for different people. For me, it means that I unshun the college football playoff. It is now appropriate to talk about what a 12-team field might look like in the year of our Lord 2025. So we'll get into that. College basketball has already started. It has tipped off today. We'll get into a little bit of that. We've got baseball to wrap up. What a wild series that was in the World Series. We'll cover all that and more. But before we get into that, Johnny, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Aaron, the sports equinox was prolonged one, so nothing was going on other than sports and beautiful fall weather. Truly, I am the lamest person in the world, or maybe just the most
content
pigeonholed person in the world, but I would have it no other way.
Yeah.
Sports.
I mean, I'd maybe take Toronto winning over the Dodgers, but otherwise, man, no complaints here. I mean, we're sitting here and short of a collapse against the Islanders. We're not, this isn't a hockey segment, but the Blue Jackets are 7-5. They really should be 8-4. But I mean,
but I don't care.
Right? Yeah.
I don't care.
At the beginning of the season, if you would tell me, hey, your Blue Jackets will be 7-5, mind you, they played almost entirely playoff teams at the beginning of the year, especially. I would take it in a heartbeat. The Pistons are playing great, so if I just rattle off the teams that I am a fan of, I'm having a great time, minus the Lions yesterday. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll just vow to not talk about the NFL. No
NFL doesn't exist.
Yep.
Or I'm going to be screaming. You're going to have to lock me up in a mental institution with those soft padded walls.
That's right. We'll touch on NFL because we still are alive in our eliminator, which we have now turned into a collective eliminator. So we'll make a pick there, but we'll refrain from talking about our own teams probably, unless we're picking against them. But Bengals on a bye week, so can't pick against them this week. Anyways, I digress.
Might lose.
Yep.
Might lose.
You might lose.
Still giving up points.
Yeah.
They'll still give up points on the bye week.
Yeah. Yes, my week has also been good. I echo a lot of the things that you are saying. We had college basketball this morning at 8 a.m., so thank you for that, Field of 68. Now, your stream was extremely scuffed, and the audio was brutal, but you have given us morning basketball on the day of, the tip-off of college basketball, and so for that, I am grateful.
All basketball is good basketball.
And it was those first two games were excellent. So good mid-major action. I got to see the Bonnies, St. Bonaventure, so that's lovely. More college basketball in a minute, but let's dive into college football. We told you all last week there is no such thing as a bad week of college football because you can't predict college football. Georgia Tech, undefeated, no longer, gone. You had an eliminator game basically between Oklahoma and Tennessee. You had all sorts of other things happening in the college football world. The college football playoff, I am officially unshunning. Miami lost, by the way, before we get into, anything else in overtime. So
we don't have Josh here to make sure we focus on it.
Yes, we were texting him. He was on a plane while that game was happening, which raises all sorts of conspiracies. Is he reverse cursed for the Mustangs? Should him being out of the country, is that advantageous?
Perchance. We'd have to see this Saturday.
That is the correct answer, perchance. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to not accidentally click on OBS and move Johnny's camera around. Let me lock that before I do that again. Okay, we're not going to do that. What we are going to do is take a look at the standings in college football, especially with the power programs, and see, hey, where are we? Who are locks, so to speak, for the playoff? And I say so to speak because no one is a lock. It is November 3rd. Chaos can happen. But like Ohio State's a lock in the Big Ten, right? Like even if they
just
lose
to
to
make
Michigan,
the playoff, we're talking
correct.
Too. Like,
they can
we're
technically
not
lose
win the
twice.
Conference.
Yeah,
right.
So there's teams
we're just
like
talking
that.
about in the playoff,
right? So we won't dwell too much on that. So, but let me start in the ACC because that's what we're talking about. The ACC is chaotic. You ready for the standings? If you haven't been paying attention to what's going on in this conference, let me just rattle it off, and then we can get into this. Virginia at 8-1 overall is the only undefeated team in the conference. Now, mind you, that loss was to an ACC team, but it did not count on the conference standings. Why? College football, baby. That's why.
NC State is the Grim Reaper in the ACC. I mean, they are just taking people out left and right.
Yeah.
They
Down
got Georgia
goes
Tech
Georgia
and
Tech.
Haynes King.
Yep. 8-1 Virginia.
Man.
They're 5-0 in the ACC. Georgia Tech also 8-1 after that loss. They are 5-1. Pittsburgh, unranked Pittsburgh, 7-2 overall, 5-1 in the conference. Louisville survives, 7-1 overall, 4-1 in the conference. SMU, yeah, they've got 3 losses, but you know what? They win the ACC, they're automatically in, and they are 4-1 in the conference. The Duke Blue Devils, 5-3. Oh, who would care about old little 5-3 Duke? Well, you might want to because they're 4-1 in the conference. Everyone else, well, there's Miami at 2-2, and every single other team has a losing record in the conference.
Yeah. But Aaron, at 2-2 with Miami, you just listed all the teams in front of them. They're done.
They're done.
Like they're not going to, if you weren't one of those one-loss teams in the ACC, I have such a difficult time seeing you make the title game.
Yeah.
Just because of the number of teams in front of you. I have a hard time seeing it. Like Georgia Tech's toughest game left is Georgia. Well, it doesn't matter if they lose that game. Conference-wise.
Right.
Doesn't matter. So
it does. The funny thing is, it does matter if they win in the sense of like Georgia Tech could be an at-large.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't mean that doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying, but
when we say any of these things, yes, we're talking just ACC. Yep. Literally does not matter. Yep. I would argue if Georgia Tech beats Georgia, they're in the ACC title game at 11-1. That team should be a lock.
Yeah.
Now we're going to probably have some SEC teams like saying they shouldn't be a lock. Of course they should be, because you didn't punish teams for losing in their conference title game last year, and you really shouldn't this year as well, in my opinion.
I totally
Why
agree.
should you be punished for playing an extra game that you were good enough to earn? That should basically be for bonus points in seeding, not a potential negative. That's ridiculous. But yeah, Aaron, like I guess out of that, and you included SMU and Duke, and I didn't really in my real or fake playoff contenders, but in the ACC, like who do you believe in out of that group? And include Georgia Tech. Like I didn't really include them either, because I think most people feel like Georgia Tech's at least legit, especially because of Haynes King. He was not the reason they lost to NC State, by the way. It was their defense.
Yeah.
He was excellent again. I lean to Louisville.
Yeah,
they
that's
barely lost that very tight game to Virginia. I don't know how Virginia keeps escaping. I mean, it's ridiculous. I definitely thought it's so funny. The one ACC upset I picked this week did not happen. I definitely thought the Cavaliers were going to lose to Cal going on the road cross country this week. I thought for sure they'd lose. They handled business this week. But I believe in Miller Moss. I believe in Jeff Brom. He is a criminally underrated coach. heaven forbid you're playing his team when you have a silly little number that is a single digit silly number.
Yeah.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Penn State, if you really want to pick a winner and a guy who's great at winning big games, he is the definition of a big game coach. Louisville dropped some games that you would like, man, you'd really like them to not, obviously, but they will always play at their best when they're playing the best. And I give them big kudos for going into Blacksburg and finding a way to win this weekend, because that was a tricky game and they found a way to get out of there. So Louisville would be my number one team. And then I still believe in Georgia Tech.
I do too. Yeah.
That was a horrible, horrible defensive, battle there. I still think there is certainly a path for 2 ACC teams, though. And this is the complicated aspect. And it's not totally just based on Georgia Tech beating Georgia, although that would, of course, help. And this was simpler beforehand, but what if you have Virginia, Louisville, and Georgia Tech all win out?
Yeah.
And one of them is left out of the ACC
because they don't play each other. None of those 3 teams play each other. Well, other than Louisville and Virginia, who did play. But correct. Yeah.
Right. And before you say like, oh, like they won't, that's insane. Like they won't all win out. I know it's unlikely, but if they did, we don't have that many games left, guys.
Right.
Virginia beat Louisville. So I believe that means it'd be a Virginia, Georgia Tech ACC title game. You're really going to leave Louisville out? Losing in overtime, 1 game? Yeah. I have a hard time believing that there's going to be, and now that Miami loss does hurt Louisville because that was their kind of marquee win. But you're really going to leave out an 11-1 team that their only loss is in overtime, and it was to a team that played in the ACC championship game, maybe even the ACC champion.
Right.
I have a hard time believing that there's going to be better.
Yeah, I echo the same teams you've got. Louisville was my dark horse ACC team to begin the year, so I'm sticking with them. One of the teams I listed that I don't think is going to make it through, if they do, hats off to them, it's Pittsburgh. And it's not because I don't think Pittsburgh is a good team. They have got one of the better offenses in the ACC, but they're on a bye week this week, and then it's versus Notre Dame at home, which, mind you, that's all of a sudden, wow.
Doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter, but
it doesn't matter though, Eric.
Well, you're right. But in the sense of like Notre Dame needing to survive, like thinking, okay, we can like handle business, we can figure this out. Pittsburgh all of a sudden is like kind of a big deal. Then they're at Georgia Tech, then they finish the year at home against Miami. So you're looking at right now, at least as the AP poll, which is fake, is set up, that's 3 top 20 teams to end the season. That could change. We'll see. So that's what you're looking at with Pittsburgh. Just to, again, run down schedules. Georgia Tech also on a bye this week. They're at Boston College, home against Pittsburgh, and then against Georgia in Atlanta. Boo.
Yeah.
Boo for playing.
But I like them to win those. I like them to win those 2 games.
I do too.
In the ACC, which is primarily why I believe in Georgia Tech.
And I
they
watched
could lose to Pitt. But
right. And I watched that Georgia-Florida game, and I was not super impressed with Georgia. That was kind of my main takeaway.
Aaron, have you been impressed with Georgia at almost any point in this season?
Not compared to other teams that I've watched. Agreed. Yeah.
But you cannot kill them.
Yes.
Nobody will put the hammer down and finish off. And it's kind of inexplicable.
Yeah.
Like, when you see them, like you're checking scores and you're like, oh yeah, Georgia's down 10 again in the 3rd quarter, but you're not doubting that they're going to come back and win. If you are, then you haven't been paying attention. They're losing every game at halftime. Almost, it seems like. And like Florida kind of blew it. They should have won, but so should a Tennessee. So should, all of these teams. This is not a classic, incredible Kirby Smart Georgia team. And they play Texas in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And based on how the Longhorns looked, do not look just at the final score of that game. Look at how that game was. Texas might have figured some things out here late in the season at the last moment.
Yeah.
And I know the game's in Athens, and I'm not saying Texas is going to win right now, but Georgia has to play Texas still. They still have to play Georgia Tech. And yes, Aaron, you're right. Atlanta, boo. But like, Georgia is by no means in this playoff already.
Right.
However, I would be stunned if they don't make it because they'd have to lose twice.
Yeah, I agree.
It's probably not going to happen. But this is not a I would be shocked if Georgia is sitting there in the national championship game in a couple months. Like that just
Agreed.
They're just not that team.
Yeah, agreed.
But they don't beat themselves.
Yeah.
Right. They don't beat themselves. And in college football, that is one of the greatest compliments I can give you.
Yep.
Is like, because most teams just self-implode if you let them. And Georgia just stands by and watches you implode and miss the game-winning field goal and throw the critical pick and fumble the ball and not convert on 4th down. And I mean, you have to give them credit, but man, they don't look good in the normal Georgia way. They just don't. They just don't. And it's almost infuriating that they keep not paying for it when, like, man, the fire is like, they're just hovering around the fire. Like,
well, you talk about a team hovering around the fire. We mentioned it before we totally leave the ACC. Let's look at Virginia's last 3 games.
Yeah, my gosh.
Steven said Virginia going to win out, boys. Book that. Look, they might. Look at their schedule the last 3 weeks. Home against Wake Forest, at Duke, which that's.
Hey, Wake beat SMU though in one of the most hideous games I've ever seen.
Yep.
13-12.
Yeah, by no means are these locks, but just throwing this out there, and then they're home against Virginia Tech. Talk about playing just directly in the middle of the fire. Here's their last 5 games. Florida State, that double overtime win that really kind of put them on the map. The next game at Louisville, they win in overtime, 30-27. At home, Washington State win by 2, 22-20. At North Carolina, win by 1
lost to Oregon
in
State.
Overtime. Yes, I know. But don't worry, they get to rematch Washington State and Oregon State. Best of 2 in that weird scheduling thing. And then this last week at California, big win, 31-21. I'm being a little facetious. You know what? At the end of the day, this team is finding ways to win. Is it always pretty? No. But you've got a quarterback in Chandler Morris who's been around for forever. Was at North Texas last year. He's been everywhere. But he's been solid. TCU. That's right. That's the school I was trying to think of. So there's not going to be a lot in these next 3 weeks that phases him, I don't think. So that gives me a little bit of confidence in Virginia. But yeah, we'll see. But wow, imagine the Virginia Tech game being like, just even at the beginning of the season, again, time travel. I walk up to you and I say, hey, Virginia Tech is going to mean a lot the last week of the season. And I'd be sitting there thinking, wow, okay, Virginia Tech probably beat South Carolina week 1. Virginia probably overachieved, and they're like, 8-3. Great, awesome. No, it's not that at all. It's actually Virginia has handled business. Virginia Tech is kind of a wasteland right now, and it's the Cavaliers in Charlottesville that can, if they win out, like that game against Virginia Tech, that probably clinches their playoff spot. Because like we're saying, you should not be punished for losing your conference championship game. Yep.
It should.
Right.
It really should. Now, Aaron, but that's what we use the word should. Because if we were talking a Big Ten team or an SEC team, we would use the words we know.
Yeah, right.
But when it comes to the Big 12 and ACC, this is only the second year of the 12-team playoff. What happened last year is nothing precedent-wise you cannot lean too heavily on.
Right.
Not yet. I'd like to say that they'd be consistent on that because me and Aaron clearly believe that. But we don't know. Mm-hmm. We just won't. We won't know. Who's to say, heaven forbid, really, but who's to say we don't have a 9-3 SEC team or something sitting there against an 11-2 ACC team and they leap them.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I've got a hot take about that when we get to the Big 10. Let's do the Big 12 though real quick. Right. Big 12 is a little bit more straightforward because right now,
especially after this one.
Yeah, BYU sitting there undefeated, 8-0, 5-0 in the conference. You've got Texas Tech at 8-1, 5-1 in the conference. They survive. And they BYU beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati's still hanging around at 5-1 in the conference. But based on their schedule, they don't play Texas Tech. They do play BYU, so they've got a chance. But they do get BYU at home. Utah
just put the hurting on them. Yes. That game was never a game,
and that's what happens when you go to Utah at night. You play against a blackout. A game in which Armando Villarreal is designing helmets, you are cooked. It is over.
You are cooked.
Yeah. And you're right. Healthy
but
Utah.
Utah's healthy.
Yep.
Like that's been the big problem for Utah the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
When Utah is healthy, they can beat just about anyone in the country.
Yeah.
Especially at home at night with our friend Armando painting those helmets.
Amazing.
The Big 12 better be careful, because if they let if BYU and Texas Tech slip up and allow Utah to get in there, they could win the rematch.
They could, but it's not going to happen at this
because
point.
that's Utah's 2 losses. Probably not. They do play each other this week, though, which is why there's a chance.
Yeah.
Because Texas Tech and because BYU play each other is why there's a chance. Obviously, because BYU's undefeated, and Texas Tech already has a 1 conference loss. If you're a Utah fan, you are cheering for, I know you can't, but you are cheering for BYU to beat Texas Tech, because that puts you in an opportunity that you could still get in there. And Texas Tech, it was a really nice win against Kansas State, but they are very hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That team is very injured. So down the stretch, not just the BYU game, they could lose another game as well. Like, they are not safe because of the injuries. But Houston getting upset by West Virginia at home, that was huge to kind of opening up the race. Cincinnati getting knocked out really cleaned up the picture.
It did.
Yep. I would say the most likely situation is, and most people are saying it, is another, like, we get the Texas Tech BYU game this Saturday and we get another one in the Big 12 title game. Because I'd expect BYU to beat Cincinnati as well.
Yeah.
And that is that, really. It kind of cleans up the entire picture. TCU's on the periphery. If some mass chaos happens, they're playing better ball.
And for what it's worth, TCU plays BYU and Cincinnati still. So,
right.
I mean,
there's, again,
that's a
BYU loses this week.
Right.
Right. But BYU loses this week and TCU beats them. I don't know exactly what that I don't know exactly what goes into tiebreakers and things like that. But like, TCU has a little bit of their fate in their own hands there, where Utah needs a lot of help from other people because they've lost to the 2 teams in front of them, which kind of stinks for Utah, just that they had to play them. Because most teams, it feels like, in the conference only had to play BYU or Texas Tech. And they had to play both this year. And unfortunately, they played Texas Tech when Texas Tech was very healthy and Utah was not. So, but it was in Utah, if I remember correct. That game wasn't solid. As much as I think that'd be a much better game in round 2, early season, don't listen to anybody who says early season results don't matter. They absolutely do, and they need to be calculated. Sorry, Alabama. I know you're better than you were week 1 against Florida State, but you're not going to be ranked higher than like 4th on Tuesday. And if you are, that's an abomination, because you have one of the worst losses in the country when it comes to a ranked team. Like, you just do.
Yeah.
So Big 12, ironically, is one of the more stable pictures when it comes to the playoff.
Yep. I think probably the most stable is the Big 10, because I think Ohio State and Indiana are as close to locks as you can have on November 3rd. Like, so here's my hot take.
They'll be in the playoff.
Yes. They're
both going to be in the playoff.
Yeah, they'd have to mess it up to not be top 4. My hot take is, if we are truly on this Ohio State-Indiana Big 10 championship collision course, and if you consider your main goal of the season to win a national title, what benefit is the Big 10 championship? And I don't say that meaning that I don't value the Big 10 championship, because us Buckeye fans have been sitting there watching other teams play in Indianapolis for the last 5 years, and I hate it. Indiana, that's meaningful because this is just, everything they're doing at this point is unprecedented. And that would include winning a Big 10 title in Indianapolis. So I don't say that to mean that the Big 10 championship doesn't mean anything, because also on something to consider is that the number 1 overall seed is up for grabs. But purely, if your goal is to win a national championship, does playing in the Big 10 championship help or hurt? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't.
It's a 1-year sample size again, Aaron. Right. That's what I'd caution people with that. Because people, it didn't help Oregon. 1-year sample size, guys. And we've changed the seeding now. Now, last year, you could argue it was very important because you got the bye. But now, again, let's paint the picture Aaron just did. Both teams are undefeated, which is still not a given. But both teams being undefeated, the loser is probably at worst the 4 seed.
Right.
And probably the 3 seed. Because what we're really probably looking at, if the status quo remains, which is college football, so it's a very scary thing to assume that the status quo remains. It's most likely an Alabama, Texas A&M SEC title game. And it's most likely on the other side, Indiana, Ohio State. So imagine a world, the winner of the OSU Indiana game, 1. Winner of Alabama, Texas A&M, 2. Loser of Ohio State, Indiana, 3. Loser of A&M and Alabama, 4. And yes, Alabama should still be 4, even if they're the loser with 2 losses. I don't care. They made the SEC title game.
Right.
However, so Aaron, that's your point. Is there that big of a help in being the 1 instead of the 3 seed? Not really, and the committee's probably also going to do that, mind you, so that a semifinal matchup isn't potentially the conference championship games again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't let them say they don't care about that. They absolutely do, and they don't want that. If they were going to have a rematch of Ohio State, Indiana, they're going to make sure that's, in the national title game. They're going to ensure that would have to happen. So, and same goes, mind you, for the SEC. So it's interesting. It's also a very, I think in many ways, it's an overdone hypothetical question because you can't turn the switch on and off as an athlete and competitor. You want to win every game put in front of you. Is it actually helpful? Probably not, being the 1 or 3 seed. I really don't think it's that helpful. But if you're actually on the coaching staff or in the locker room, you can't think that way. If you do think that way, you're not this elite and good at what you do. I just have a hard time believing that.
Yeah.
Because you cannot just flip switches on and off. We could lose this game. Like, maybe we can play that other team. What do you always hear in the NBA when it's like, oh, they lost the last game of the regular season so that they could play this other team? 9 times out of 10, it bites them right in the butt that they specifically sought out a certain matchup rather than just playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't be thinking about outside. You play who's in front of you. You beat who's in front of you.
Yep.
And just as a college football fan, I am thrilled at the opportunity to see a Julian Sayin and Fernando Mendoza Big Ten title game, a number 1 versus number 2, potentially for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like, wild. So, and the SEC will have something to say about that because you'd also have 2 quarterbacks over there in A&M and Alabama that would certainly be in that discussion if it's those 2 teams as well. But it would just be such a fun game just in Indianapolis. So you'd say, oh, Indiana's home, but it's so close to the old, it'd end up being, I think, a 50-50 draw. I think it'd truly be a very close to 50-50. It's the Big Ten. It's supposed to be neutral the way tickets are, maybe 60-40, even Ohio State. But I think it would be relatively close, 50-50. Be hard to tell color difference. But it would be a fun atmosphere there in Indianapolis for that game. I think that game would have more juice than it's had in many, many years, maybe ever, in that Big Ten title game.
Yeah, I would agree. There's also the fact that Indiana hasn't beat Ohio State in our lifetime, so that's another crazy aspect of this whole thing. We need to talk about a team that is not getting a lot of love. They're not in the AP top 25 because we had to leave room for Tennessee for some unknown reason. And that is, well, before I get into that, I won't spoil it just yet. Because where I'm going with this is there will be other Big Ten teams. I think just one other Big Ten team, but could be 3 or 4 Big Ten teams are getting into this thing. Certainly 3, maybe 4. But who will that third team be? Oregon's obviously sitting there as the number 6 team in the country, so that's an obvious choice. Or are they? Number 20, USC is at 6-2. They're still alive. Washington, still alive. Their biggest crime is that they've lost to Ohio State. Now, they need to beat somebody. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the team that is sitting there at 6-2 overall,
menacingly sitting there,
and 4-1 in the conference, mind you, 4-1 at home, as well. It's the Iowa Hawkeyes. And why do we say menacingly? It's because the Iowa Hawkeyes have an offense. Here's
Not
some scores
Iowa,
from
man.
this Iowa offense. Get ready.
No.
47 points against UMass. And I know what you're saying. That's UMass. I get it. 38 against Rutgers.
That one's fair. They're actually the worst team.
Yes, correct. 37 against Wisconsin. Just took the soul right out of them. 25 against Penn State. 41-3 against Minnesota. That is not a bad Minnesota team, guys.
No. They wanted that pig, man.
Yes, they
wanted
did.
Floyd.
And I know I can hear all the comments like, oh, it's Iowa. They're never going to do anything. They're never going to be a top team. They're just going to be 9-3 for the rest of their lives. You know what? You might be right. Them and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the same color scheme. You know what? You might just be right. They might just perennially be destined for just slightly above average. But if there's a year that it's going to change, it's this year because Oregon goes to Iowa this week. It's not at night, so the Ducks aren't automatically losing this game, but it's at 3:30. Oregon, Iowa.
It's going to be ending at night.
Yeah.
It'll be dark.
It'll be dark in Kinnick Stadium.
Dark when it's over.
And if they happen to take down the Ducks, they go to USC the following week. Even if they don't, even if Iowa wins one of these games, you're at least playing big-time Big Ten spoiler for one of these West Coast teams. If I'm Oregon, I am scared out of my mind. And you know what? I don't even know if they need...
Well, they're not, Aaron.
Because they don't know.
They don't know. They have no idea.
Yep.
They don't know. No, but that's so fascinating. Like, so here's one. Michigan's still in this because if they beat Ohio State, they're literally in the Big Ten title game, most likely.
Correct.
Washington's not really... They're a playoff contender, very outside. But they're a playoff contender. They're not a Big Ten title contender because they have lost to Michigan and Ohio State. It's a Utah situation.
Yep.
They're kind of kept out. But Iowa, USC, and Oregon are all kind of playing each other. Oregon has a brutal finish, by the way. Like they have to play. They have to play Iowa. They have to play USC. USC's at home, and then they have to play Washington still.
Yeah.
So, like, Oregon's got it rough down the home stretch. So you can easily talk me into, like, is 10-2 Oregon in? Like, I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. It depends how other pieces fall. But I have a hard time seeing Oregon come through all of that. That seems like a tall task. But what you said, and USC, I mean, hats off to them. Ugly win against Nebraska, but they, you know what? Those are games they lose.
Yeah, correct.
They have lost those games the last few years under
Luckily,
Lincoln
they
Riley.
played a team that only loses those games.
Right. And Dylan Raiola, breaks his leg. Right. That stinks. Yeah. I don't know if Nebraska does lose if he doesn't get hurt, but hey, that doesn't matter. You won. The Big Ten is fascinating down the home stretch.
Yeah.
Like Michigan doesn't play anybody really before they play Ohio State. That's the same with Ohio State. Sorry, Rutgers and Purdue and UCLA. It's just true. So that's going to be big time. That easily could just be a play-in game, a semifinal for the Big Ten championship game. Because remember, Michigan 2 losses, but one of them's to Oklahoma.
Yep.
But then Michigan also, like, if USC runs the table, USC has the tiebreaker over Michigan. So that's fascinating as well. Now, again, we just said USC has to beat Oregon. They have to beat Oregon in Eugene. And I know they just won in Lincoln, but on the road for USC has been a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time seeing that one, but that's to say USC controls a lot of their own destiny because they have a chance to take out Oregon, to take out Iowa, to get them out of the picture. And then if Michigan helps them out, I think that means they'd be in facing Indiana instead of Michigan because they'd have the tiebreaker. So they're all technically alive. Mm-hmm. It's all wild to think about if any of these, Aaron, I agree with you. It's probably 3.
Yeah.
Because they play each other. Like, I just don't know how there is like, you'd have to thread this needle, to get 4 in that I just probably don't see.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, and one more. The easiest way probably for that to happen is Michigan beating Ohio State. But outside of that, I don't see much of a path for 4.
Agreed.
Do you believe in one of these teams more than the others outside of Ohio State, Indiana?
I would say Oregon, but I look at that schedule and I see another loss there. I couldn't tell you who it's against, but I don't see them running the table. And if they do, then maybe the Big Ten's got the best 3 teams in the country, for all I know. But to me, it's Oregon, but it's a big if. The other thing I'll say about Iowa, I don't think they win both those games against the West Coast teams. But if you're Iowa, if you're sitting there, like, you're probably thinking, oh man, what if we don't lose that game against Iowa State? Because then you're 7-1, and you can afford a Big Ten loss and still get in potentially. Like,
they probably do get in
because they've played Indiana the best.
That one looks great. Would they lose 20-15?
Yeah.
Like they had Indiana close at the end there. Like they're so, and I want to be fair to Iowa. That's a very different Iowa State team that they played I think it was week 2.
Yeah.
Like health-wise. It just is different. And those are the only times when I understand when people look back at the end of the season and are like, hey, you had 2 top 10 wins, even though one of those teams isn't in the top 10 anymore. Because if you had horrible injuries, like the team that dropped out of the top 10, I do get that. I really do understand that, those type of wins. Like that Oregon win over Penn State.
Right.
People now are just like, well, that doesn't matter. Oh, no, it absolutely matters. You crushed their soul.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not necessarily going to say that's the equivalent of Indiana beating Oregon, but it's still a very nice win. Like, I think that's being overly harsh to take that away. I kind of wish they didn't all play each other.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, where you get the frustration. Now that we've talked, kind of every conference but the SEC, of these other conferences when I know the SEC might not have that elite team, but look at the depth of the SEC. Look at the depth of these other conferences. Iowa's not even ranked. Michigan, USC, and Washington are criminally underranked. I would argue the same when it comes to Louisville. Pittsburgh's not ranked. Miami deserves to have dropped where they dropped. Georgia Tech loses, and it's like an affront. We got to get them out of here. Drop them like 9 spots.
Yeah.
Why? Why do they have to drop that far? So I think that you see the frustration there with these teams, like you lose and it's like, cool, finally we have an excuse to get rid of these teams. And the SEC teams beat up on each other and Tennessee stays ranked and people are like, oh man, what depth in this conference. And it's like, you only have quality losses on your resume. You have to win at some point.
Yep.
So this is one of those weeks where I understand where the other conferences are very frustrated, staring at the SEC like, why is their depth seen as so much better than ours when it's, and I'm not even going to say the SEC isn't the deepest conference, but I don't think the margin is what people pretend it is.
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll talk about the SEC because right now, again, the AP poll, our favorite, numbers 3, 4, 5, 7, 11, 13, 15, 19, and 23 are all, that's the rankings of the top. How many teams is that? 9 in the AP poll?
Yeah.
And that includes Tennessee, who, mind you, is 3-3 in the conference with a plus minus of 6 points. It's not like they've lost to every AP top 25 team they've played. They're 0-3.
Their best win is Syracuse.
Yep. And Syracuse, don't look where they are now, but it's not pretty. So my thought is, outside of, I think, Texas A&M, and I think Alabama too, maybe Ole Miss, but everyone else.
Ole Miss doesn't play anybody down the stretch.
Right.
They're a lock.
Yeah,
I think
they're a lock. I think, are we at lock status for Texas A&M, do we think? At 8-0?
Yes.
Because they play Texas.
Yes.
And then
and
they're
they
at
play
Missouri
Missouri,
this week, but I mean.
But that's no Prabula. I can't even say his name. No Prabula. Like he's out. Like I'd be stunned. Like both of them coming off a bye.
Missouri. Yep.
Like that just shouldn't happen. And you lose to Texas. I know they don't want to, but they're fine. Like they're a lock.
Yep.
I feel like you have 3 like locks, and Georgia's. If Georgia didn't have to play Texas and Georgia Tech, I would say they were a lock, but I can't in good conscience with those 2 teams on their schedule.
Yeah. It is an interesting conversation, and it's one that will get talked about way more in the coming weeks as we debate strength of schedule and which conference is better. Because the way I see it, I think the Big Ten has three. I want to be careful with the term elite, but I'll say it for the purpose of this conversation. I think there are three elite teams in the Big Ten: Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. Oregon's the most fringe elite team. I'll grant you that. But I think in the SEC, you've got two. I think you've got Texas A&M and you have Alabama that I would put in the elite category. Now, you've got more very good teams in the SEC than you do in the Big Ten. But I think there's less elite teams. Like, again, watching that Georgia game play Florida, and I get it, it's a rivalry. But when I'm watching the Buckeyes come out in that second half against Penn State and just lay them flat, and then I watch Georgia play Florida, a team with the exact same record as Penn State. From a talent perspective on paper, it's not really that different between Penn State and Florida, at least what you got in the preseason. Now, what they've done with that talent, both teams, dreadful. But
roster-wise, similar. It's a good comparison, Aaron.
But to watch Georgia get sucked into the mud against Florida, whereas Ohio State kind of standing above and, one-handing footballs and doing, all sorts of just obscene things against Penn State. Like that, I think it was that contrast that really stuck out to me. And you know what? We talked about it already, so I won't go into it ad nauseum. It's still a Kirby Smart coach team. Do I want to play Georgia? No, not really.
No.
But
no.
I would rather play them than Texas A&M and Alabama at this point, or Indiana or Oregon, frankly. So that's where we're at. You've got two losses. Just again, from a playoff perspective, there's still a lot of teams in contention. I think A&M is a lock. I think Ole Miss is a lock. They'd have to just completely and utterly fall apart to not get into the playoff. Alabama is sitting there at 7-1 with the best wins in college football. One of the worst losses of these teams, but 4 really, really good wins. You've got Georgia.
But Aaron, they basically have LSU and Oklahoma on the schedule next, and unless they lay an egg against LSU, like you kind of win that game and you're locked.
Yep.
Like you could lose to Oklahoma probably and still make it.
Yep. And I know the Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl, but that Auburn team is just a wasteland.
Can't score, man.
Yeah. They have 90 points through 6 games in conference play.
I am so sorry if you watched that Auburn-Kentucky game. I apologize.
Luckily,
I wasn't responsible, but I apologize.
Yeah. Luckily, half the college football fans couldn't because people are being stupid. We'll get into that. Other teams, Texas, we talked about them maybe hitting their stride. They're 7-2. Oklahoma is 7-2. Vanderbilt is 7-2. So they're all on the brink, right? Like we saw Tennessee get eliminated with their third loss.
Yep.
There's enough there that there could be a 3-loss team that sneaks in from the SEC. But the way I see it right now, like A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Texas, Texas being the main question because they do have those 2 losses. But it's one of those things. If there's a 3-loss team, it's probably Texas, right? Because you in that scenario would probably have losses to Ohio State and A&M, who could be 1-2 at the end of the year. We'll see.
Aaron, the one thing I'd say there is Oklahoma has a trump card over Michigan.
True.
And it's a very thin line.
Yep.
But what if you have a 10-2 Michigan and you have a 9-3 Oklahoma? That would be an interesting conversation.
Yep.
Which I guess you can't have a 10-2 Michigan. It would be it'd have to be 10-3 for it to be an at-large discussion.
Yeah.
So a 9-3 Oklahoma or a 10-3 Michigan that losses in the Big Ten title game, that would be a war. Now that's assuming Oklahoma probably loses to Alabama, but they beat Missouri and LSU. That's a very reasonable thing to think. Now their wins, I would argue, do not look remotely as good as you would have expected, despite the difficulty of their schedule. It's more of a quantity more than quality resume. Because they lost to Ole Miss, they lost to Texas. Their best wins right now, Michigan, clearly. Tennessee is their other best win. Great opportunity against Alabama. If any of those teams win out, that's my big thing. Texas, Oklahoma, Vandy win out, they're in.
Yeah.
So they do control their own destiny. We're talking a lot about these conference and needing help to get in your conference title game. That's super important in the Big 12 and ACC because it's I hate to say it, but it's the one surefire way to make sure you get in. Like, you do not want to leave it in the committee's hands. But if you are a 10-2 Big Ten or SEC team, I think other teams are going to fall by the wayside and you will be in. You might be a very low seed, but I have a hard time seeing 10-2 teams not being in. Vandy, I know you lost to Texas, but you lost to Texas, you lost to Alabama. They're not bad losses. And if you take care of business and beat Tennessee, I know it's in Knoxville last week of the season, which that's fantastic, by the way, might I add. Interstate rivalry right there. That could have serious, college football playoff implications. That would be cool. Oklahoma has to play Alabama, Missouri, LSU, and I don't trust that Oklahoma team. It's so John Mateer reliant, and there's a good defense, but they're so flawed.
Yeah.
The one out of the 3 teams, and I know everybody's going to hate me for saying this, it is Texas.
Yes.
Because the ceiling's so high.
Yep.
The ceiling is so high, and that was a ceiling first 3 quarters against Vanderbilt. That's the best you've seen them play all year. Easily. Those 3 quarters. Now, the 4th quarter exists. And that version of Texas is why you don't trust them. Because you had nearly let Vanderbilt come all the way back and win, which is insane. And I know they had to have gotten an onside kick at the end, but the fact that it got to that point
and it was
insane.
Close that they almost got it.
And it was self-inflicted that happened too. It was bad discipline, and it was not being where you're supposed to be on defense, and you took your foot off the gas. And you have to go to Athens and play Georgia. And then I know you're home against A&M, but those are 2 brutal games to finish the season. I wouldn't be surprised if they win one of them. Oh, man, winning both. That's tough. But a 9-3 Texas is an interesting conversation too. You could have a win against Oklahoma, a win against Vanderbilt, a win against Georgia or Texas A&M. One of your losses is Ohio State on the road. That's not bad. That Florida loss ain't good. But the other, a loss in Athens, let's just say it's Athens. They lose Georgia, but they beat A&M. Like that's an interesting conversation as well. I'm not going to, I hate it, but I'm not going to dismiss it. That's not on the table. I'd like to say it's not, but it is potentially on the table. More chaos needs to happen around them, but I have those 3 teams literally ranked right next to each other in my rankings.
Yeah.
Because, Texas, then Oklahoma, then Vandy, just because they beat each other that way.
Yep.
So
as it should be at 8 people. All right, there's one other conference, well, in this case, multiple conferences we have to talk about in terms of the college football playoff. It's the group of 5. Mm-hmm. Now, a reminder as we enter this conversation, there is no group of 5 playoff spot. Just like to throw that out there. Now, I don't think we're going to get more than one, but it is common vernacular that people just say, oh, who's going to get the group of 5 spot? That does not exist. It is the top 5 conference champions. Throwing it out there. It looks like
this year, though, it will.
This year, that being said, this year there's only going to be one.
Each other.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of that, the American Conference, I think, is still the front runner for getting that spot. But things got a little bit more murky this week with Tulane going down, just getting drubbed on, what was that, Thursday night, one of those two, against UTSA. Meep, the Roadrunners got them. Navy loses to North Texas. So the way we're sitting here right now with the American, you've got Navy still at 7-1. They're still very much in play. You've got Memphis, rough loss against UAB. That is a very rough loss, but a rivalry loss in which like a 70-pound rack of ribs was up for grabs. Can you blame them? And then you've got North Texas, who just puts up 1 billion points. They have 400 points on the season through 9 games, and they've won 3 in a row since losing to South Florida. I mean, South Florida is still in contention.
They're one conference loss.
Yeah.
At 6-2. One of those losses is to Miami. I know. Yep. So that hurts, but they're still in there.
Yeah. So that's the scenario. Memphis plays Navy at the end of the year. They also play Tulane, who is out, but in terms of who could ruin some teams' hopes, that they're still very much in play. That game is actually on Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. So that's
Aaron,
good.
Tulane's also only the one loss in the American too.
You're
I know
right.
as bad as they look to UTSA. The one other loss is to Ole Miss. Like they're still involved.
Yeah, and East Carolina only has 1 loss, but the problem is that they are 5-3 overall. So it'd be a situation with if they win, because they still play Memphis, and they'd probably need some help. But if they win, they would probably not be favored over some other teams in some other conferences.
Yeah.
Because I want to get to that, just to scroll through real quick, just talk about the other conferences. Conference USA is a ton of fun. No playoff contender there, most likely. But Kennesaw State, still undefeated in conference. They are 6-2. They are bowl eligible. They have won 6 in a row.
First time, Aaron.
Yeah.
First time.
Amazing.
They're eligible and they get to go now.
Yeah.
And I love it.
You know what? Their 2 losses are at Wake Forest and at Indiana. So, you know what? No shame in that.
Very forgivable.
Yeah, no shame in that.
Very forgivable.
Probably not forgivable from a playoff perspective, but that's okay. In the MAC, let's talk about the MAC real quick. Again, no playoff contenders here. Every single team has 3 losses or more. It's because the MAC pays the bills in September, which means...
they didn't win any of those games this year.
But we've got a couple excellent games on Tuesday. Midweek action is back, folks. Miami, the Red Hawks are 4-0 in the conference, the lone undefeated team in the MAC, and they are facing Ohio in Athens. It's the Battle of the Bricks rivalry. This game was played twice last year. It is a replay of the MAC title game from last year. Ohio's doing a blackout. They just released new uniforms. They look sick. This game's going to be awesome. No bearing on the college football playoff, but as much as we're talking about the playoff tonight, there is more to college football than the playoff. And this is one of them. This is going to be a great game, so check that out. The Mountain West, Boise State's done from a playoff perspective, but you know who's not? San Diego State. The lone undefeated team in the Mountain West. They are 7-1. They have allowed 41 points in 4 conference games. Only 80 points allowed in 8 games for the season. Now, their loss at Washington State by 23, that's not great. But look, they run the table, and you get the right madness in the American, and San Diego State is right in this. They're at Hawaii this week, home against Boise State, home against San Jose State, and then they are at New Mexico. They are very much in play for a college football spot.
Those aren't gimmies, by the way. If
no,
you
they're
haven't
not.
been following Mountain West, Hawaii's much better. They're already bowl eligible this year. They could get got by New Mexico or Boise.
Yep.
Yeah. But their defense has been outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something. The Sun Belt. I'm here to tell you the Fun Belt is alive, folks. The Fun Belt is alive, and that's because James Madison is 7-1 overall. Yeah. They're 5-0 in the conference. They play Coastal Carolina at the end of the year, which is probably what will make or break them going 11-1. Now, it's the Fun Belt. Anything can happen. But they play Marshall, who is not great this year. They basically had to start over from scratch after losing basically their entire roster to the transfer portal. They also play App State, who's 4-4, 1-3 in the conference. Then they're home against Washington State, which is very beatable, as we saw with Oregon State beating them.
Yeah.
James Madison going 11-1. Again, I think you probably need some chaos in the American, but an 11-1 James Madison team whose lone loss is at Louisville in a game I watched. That was a game in the 4th quarter. 28-14 was the final score, but that's not the game was much closer than that. They really put a scare
and I think they have the best
Cardinals.
Chance.
Yes.
If you ask me who else, if it's a non-American team, I'd probably pick James Madison right now.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So that's your group of 5 breakdown. That's worth watching. There's some great games. That game against Marshall is actually on ESPN2 at noon this week.
Love it.
So half of us will get to see it, but that's great. They'll have to potentially play an undefeated Sun Belt team in Southern Miss on the other side. They're in the West. The Sun Belt still has divisions, believe it or not, which is great. So they would obviously need to win the championship to get into the playoff. I know that's stating the obvious, but that's a good Golden Eagles team there with Charles Huff bringing half of his Marshall team that won the Sun Belt last year over to Hattiesburg. So that's the situation there. So that was a very long-winded but hopefully helpful recap of if you fell into a 3-month coma. Here we are, college football playoff time.
We just gave you everything.
Yeah. Yep, that's the whole book.
Didn't even talk about Hugh Freeze getting fired at Auburn. Just a lot of
the fact that Navy plays Notre Dame this week, right?
Call Sumrall at Tulane. Not that I want you to take him from Tulane.
Yeah,
it should be one call. Don't overthink it. Go offer him the job. It's very simple.
Do you think Chuck Martin gets a call from anyone?
Okay, I love Chuck. Chuck is probably an acquired taste.
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of in the same mold as Jeff Brom.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think part of the reason like why Jeff hasn't gotten other bigger jobs, like he got offered the job from Purdue to Louisville because it's his alma mater, and he was winning, but I've heard he can be a little bristly, and I'm not saying Chuck is, but sometimes like Chuck always seems content to me, so I have a hard time, and I have a hard time. Just kind of have a hard time.
Right. I mean, Jason Candle's been at Toledo for like a decade.
Yeah, like a Kalani Sitake at BYU.
Yeah.
Like that dude is an amazing coach. But I think part of the reason nobody ever talks to him isn't disrespect for how good he is. It's just like, that dude's not going to leave. Like, it's almost more of that. Like, honestly, like Kyle Whittingham has been at Utah, and he's probably going to retire soon. But you can't tell me Kyle Whittingham hasn't deserved a bigger job than Utah, right. Especially when Utah was still in the Mountain West. Yeah. But he loves it there. So, you know, there's certain ones, it's not a disrespectful thing, but Sumrall is a home run to me for Auburn. Don't overthink it. Go get that guy and allow him to reset things. But Aaron, is there any big games? You know, we mentioned Miami, Ohio against Ohio, UMass versus Akron, big time, bottom list. That's implications.
Right. Yep.
Akron can get their 4th win in that game,
which is huge.
And I'd be just so proud of the Zips. And listen, remember, we talk about this because like Kent State and Akron have been, for them, so good this year.
Yeah.
And I truly do not mean that in an insulting way at all. Like Akron's 3-6, Kent State's 3-5. That is by far the best that those two teams have been, especially at the same time in a season. So, and they have not played each other yet for that rubber wheel.
Right.
So it would be cool to see Akron win and still stay alive for bowl eligibility still too. They haven't,
which they're not.
Well, they can't play. Yeah, they can't play.
But that's a whole discussion. Like, if you get to that point though, if you're 6 wins, then do you knock on the NCAA's door and say, hey, here's a lawsuit. Have fun. We're going to go play in a bowl game.
Yeah, what if there aren't enough 6-6 teams, which happens seemingly almost every year? Like,
the irony there is that they go by
is why they didn't. The academic's why they didn't.
Right.
But they're 6-6.
Yes,
but anyway. So that's a thing. We already said Memphis to Tulane. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the best game this week, which is the BYU Texas Tech game.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled. I hope they still throw tortillas at this game in Lubbock. I assume we can watch, Aaron. This is not on the ESPN networks.
Who knows?
Hopefully. I pray to God it's not.
It shouldn't be.
I wouldn't think it is. Hopefully it's on TNT, honestly.
Yeah.
It's probably Fox, but
CW.
Cool. Just not Disney.
Yeah.
But that should be a phenomenal game. And if you're watching BYU Texas Tech, Brock Bachmeier playing freshman at BYU has been so good. Don't worry about the playoffs. Just enjoy and watch two incredible teams. Don't worry about the implications. It should be a fantastic game. That's easily the best game this week.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Well, we'll come back next week and kind of recap all of that because there's a lot of games. There's going to be a lot of impact on it. But, Johnny, that's a good way to close out that segment. As much as we just talked about the college football playoff, nothing will get me more angry during the height of a game, and I'm looking at you, Sean McDonough, and Georgia Tech, like, oh, will Georgia make the playoff? Will Georgia make the playoff? Georgia is playing their rival Georgia Tech. That is what is important. So I'm with you. Yep. We talked a lot about the playoff, but the game itself, like that's all the meaning in and of itself that we need.
Sometimes the guys make picks based on their vast knowledge of sports. Sometimes they make picks based on vibes.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Maryland takes down Florida.
Chop this one up for the Gators. Chop a national championship for Florida.
Either way, they're probably going to be wrong. It's time for Picks of the Week.
Well, he's not here. Can we just subtract points from Josh's scoreboard of Picks of the Week?
Give us a chance.
Yeah. Because it's over, folks. It was over last weekend, probably the week before that. Josh has 11 points. Johnny and I both have 7. So I guess we're fighting for second place, which you are now tied because the Trailblazers did beat the Los Angeles Lakers last week.
Yep.
Yeah. But the Lakers overall,
Inspired.
despite no LeBron, had the...
Not point shaving.
Right. Yeah, that's maybe, you know what? That's what we all should
That's why
picked
the Blazers.
Portland.
That's why I picked
Correct.
the Blazers.
Yeah.
That's why they're playing bad. They're shaving all those points.
That's right.
That's why. Nothing else. No other
right.
reasons.
But is Drew Holiday, isn't he averaging like 20 points right now? Anyways.
I love that guy.
I do too. Neither here nor there. You heard the bumper. It was college basketball. It was Florida winning the national championship in college men's hoops last year. Literally, as we are recording, they are currently in Las Vegas playing Arizona top 15 matchup to get your college basketball slate underway this week. If you're interested in other college basketball games that are happening, check out our YouTube. I made a video that just highlights what I think is the best game each day this week, but that's what we're going to pick. There's some other things going on as well. Obviously, the World Series ended. We didn't get a chance to break it down, but what a series between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. Sad ending for most of
Slide
us.
hands first, man.
Yep.
Slide hands first.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep, I'm with you. But phenomenal series. 11 innings decided in Game 7. Really can't ask for much more than, just not the Dodgers winning. But they do. Bye-bye baseball in 2027. We'll enjoy it next year, I guess.
best World Series, though, I feel like maybe this is spur of the moment, but the best one since it was Cleveland-Chicago.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like, I don't think, in my mind, I don't think there's been one that you can put up near it since Cleveland-Chicago.
Totally agree. You had 18 innings in there. You had 11 in Game 7. You had all the stars. You had Yamamoto pitching 98 pitches and then coming out the next day getting the win. Like, the funny thing is I hate the Dodgers collectively, but individually, like, I like Shohei a lot. I like Freddie Freeman. I like Yamamoto. I like Roque Sasaki. I like just about
Classy dudes.
Right.
Yeah. No, somebody asked me the other day, they're like, oh, like, do you like hate them like you hate the Chiefs? Which, if you listen to this podcast, you know I hate the Chiefs, so that's not news. But it's like, I'm like, no, because like the Chiefs are really annoying, and the Dodgers are actually
like, I like Mookie.
Yeah, they're kind of classy dudes. Like, there's nothing, like, they don't do anything wrong. I just am annoyed that their salary is for the rosters like $500 million, and my team doesn't want to spend more than like $30 million total.
Yep. Hey, but you know what? The Reds may be the third best team in baseball this year. We'll never know. Lost to the World Series champs. It's tough to say how good they were. They weren't good. I can tell you that. That was like one of the worst playoff teams ever. So all that being said, we really, in all likelihood, should have given more time to baseball, but that's what happens when you listen to a primarily college football podcast. But that was awesome. Yeah, what a series. So I don't think we had any additional points, if I remember correctly. So because Josh
not yet, but there is an update on lost points. In MLS playoffs.
Yes.
Like, that points have been taken off the board, if you will. Now, this will not be, I don't believe this will be done in this season. So these points will most likely be given into the next one. But you want to start off on a good footing, of course. You know, me and Aaron at this point are like, yeah, it's not even worth it.
Yeah,
like, let's save them for next season.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in the update right now, the biggest one is I have Vancouver winning the entire thing, and they took out Josh's Dallas. Josh had Dallas in the final. I have Vancouver winning it. Vancouver swept them 2-0. They're gone. Aaron, next up is Vancouver against LAFC. So those are our two picks to win MLS Cup. So they will be facing each other literally in the semifinals in the Western Conference. So it's kind of wild that we all picked teams in the Western Conference in that one quadrant of the bracket. So there's a quick update on that side. On the other side, Aaron, I believe you had Philly as well.
Yeah.
They sweep Chicago. They go through. And then Miami, I think Josh had Miami. They're tied with Nashville. So that's a 1-1 tie right now. They'll play later this week. And not picked, but I insist we talk about my team and soccer. The Crew just massacring Cincinnati last night at home 4-0, and they will go to a game 3 in Cincinnati on Saturday as well as that Miami-Nashville game. Winner of those 2 game 3s will play each other. So that will be exciting, really, either way. Lots of goal scoring. So Josh is the only person who has taken a ding yet. Dallas was not his champion, but he had them in the final. So Josh can afford it.
Yeah, that's the Matt Kuhn mug I should just send to his house already. So well done, Josh, even though he's dead. Congratulations once again. This week we're picking college hoops, and we've got some good games. We're picking one that's happening on Saturday. Alabama heads to St. John's. Preseason, Alabama ranked number 15, St. John's ranked number 5. So I went back and forth on this one. This should be Pitino's most talented team at St. John's. It's year 3. What he's been able to build so quickly there has been rather impressive. Obviously, they make the tournament run last year. So, the expectation is that will happen again. The Crimson Tide, obviously, they're not going anywhere either. They've been pretty consistent as well. Last year, just to recap, they make it all the way to the Elite 8. They lose to Duke. The year before that, they make it to the Final Four. So this is a team that is figured some things out. Now, rosters are so different from year to year. It's hard to really take stock in what a team will do. Like, just because Alabama makes it to the Elite 8 doesn't mean they're automatically like a top 25 team. We believe they are just based on the roster, but like, we've never known less about college basketball heading into a year than we know now. What we do know is that Alabama plays a murderer's row in November. Here's their schedule, minus tonight's game against North Dakota. Get ready for this. At number 5, St. John's, home against number 1, Purdue, neutral site tournament against number 17, Illinois, number 21, Gonzaga, and UNLV. And those games are happening in Vegas. So in Feast Week. That's their schedule. I think they get off to the right start against St. John's, partially out of desperation, because my goodness, you could be 2-4 in that stretch and be a top 25 team. I'm not saying you should be ranked in the top 25, but just purely based on, anyways. So I'm going to go with Alabama on the road. I think St. John's is going to be really good, but it could take them a little bit of time to get it figured out. So give me the Crimson Tide on the road in New York, ahead of just, yikes, a gauntlet.
I just believe in Rick Pitino and St. John's. I think this will be a Final Four year for them. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything for the opening week with college basketball. This game has absolutely nothing to do with what they'll do really in March. But I will nonetheless go with St. John's. They're a home in Madison Square Garden. Maybe that matters slightly.
Sure.
And we'll go with St. John's, as is Josh.
Yeah, Josh from the dead is pick St. John's. So I mean, on the bright side, I guess one of us will know if we're in second place or not by the end of next week. So that's exciting. So more to come. Lots of good college basketball. There's all sorts of fun stuff. There's the MAC Sunbelt Challenge that's happening right now. There's games spread out throughout the week. So it's a lot of fun. Just a reminder, as we kick off this basketball season, there are now 365 teams in Division I. And there's only 5 that aren't right now. As we sit, 360 teams are vying for a playoff spot. My mind is broken. A tournament spot.
Yes.
Which for right now has not expanded, and jail for everyone who's considering it. Only 5 teams not eligible for the NCAA tournament. It's West Georgia, Mercyhurst, Lemoyne, and New Haven. Those are all either new Division I teams this year or last year. So that's that stupid transition rule. And then we do have an Akron Zips. Yeah, that's dumb. Get that out of here. We do have an Akron Zips situation.
Akron, it was all sports?
No. We have an Akron Zips situation for Coppin State. So Coppin State, not eligible. Akron, good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Not multiple sports.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So that's where we're at in college basketball. So 360 teams vying for the trophy in April.
The guys spent hours scrolling social media, and they found some pretty dumb stuff. Now they want to talk to you about it.
do they need a guy on weekends to like walk around random McDonald's and like dressed as a Grimacy? Because I'll take that.
Are you okay saying bad things about the British?
Good luck. It's time for What We're Following.
It's one of my favorite quotes. It's one of the most unhinged things. With no context, wild.
Right. I miss Josh for a variety of reasons tonight, now that he's dead. One of them is for comments like that. Number 2, I just enjoy having him on the show. Number 3, I have no one to talk to about Prairie View A&M starting their game against the College of Biblical Studies on a 22-2 run today. So can we assume that Josh is to blame for this?
Some of these basketball schools, man. Some of these basketball schools. You think college football is ridiculous.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Like, can we blame Josh for that? That somehow seems like it's his fault.
Yes.
Okay.
It's his fault. I don't know why, but it's his fault.
I don't either. I just expect him to suit up as point guard or something. Yeah, wild. What was I following? Oh, yeah, I know what I'm following. Is yours positive, Johnny? Because mine's not.
I think mine's positive, but you won't.
Well, then that's fine. That's a good way to end. Actually, sorry, we missed something in Picks of the Week that we have to go back and do because we're still alive in the NFL Eliminator. I just realized because we.
Oh yeah.
Because I want. So if
you got your point,
I got my point. I got my point. I won the NFL Eliminator of the 3 of us, but I'm still alive, and so I've now turned my run over to the podcast as a whole. So last week we all collectively said New England would be the play. They won. It wasn't comfortable, but we're moving forward. So we need to pick a team to win. Honestly, as bad as the Lions looked on Sunday, and with the Jaden Daniels injury, I kind of think the Lions would beat the Commanders, but I picked the Lions in week 5. So they're not, we're getting, I mean.
What about the Buccaneers, Aaron? Who are the Buccaneers playing?
New England.
Are they playing the Saints or did they just play the Saints? Jeez. No, that's not good.
Yeah. That's a team I have alive.
No, but that's not a very good pick. Yeah. You already picked Denver. So, yeah, recap. Aaron's pick.
Do we think Carolina? This is a
Kansas City, Buffalo.
Carolina hosts New Orleans this week. And they're playing okay.
Yeah, no, good pick. That's it.
Okay.
That's the pick.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't be absolutely stunned.
Right.
But once you get to week 10,
yeah.
You and Aaron, you really laid it on with all the best teams possible.
Right. Yeah, you were starting to say Kansas City, Buffalo, Detroit, Denver, Green Bay, Indy, New England. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel now.
It's just
Yeah,
you gotta. No, that's good. Now it's just trying to pick against the worst teams. Yeah. So that's a good pick. I'm in.
Who do the Bengals play next week?
Bye.
I mean, the week after. I'm pulling it up.
I don't know, but they'll probably score over 35 points again and give up 50.
Have I picked Pittsburgh?
So.
Oh, I'm picking Pittsburgh. Should I preemptively put? It's Pittsburgh. I'm going to preemptively put Pittsburgh.
They lost it. They already lost to the Bengals once. They're probably not going to lose both.
Yeah, exactly. I am preemptively picking Week 11 Pittsburgh.
Bengals should have lost that game too
against the Bengals. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so now back.
It's kind of funny if the Bengals win that game though and stay unbeaten in the division despite all of the other issues.
Oh man, Zach Taylor's got to get fired. Right?
No, Aaron, he won't. It's like being nominated and selected for the Supreme Court. He has a job for life unless he commits war crimes.
Right.
And honestly, only if the war crimes are published.
Yeah.
If nobody knows, that he probably could do that and not get fired and stay the head coach of the Bengals. Fire him, fire Duke Tobin, fire everybody. People saying fire Al Golden. It's not his fault that they can't scout and draft. First year as the defensive coordinator. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good.
This is not an NFL talk.
It's not.
Aaron, go ahead.
It is a rant, and we'll move into a different one. How are we doing out there, YouTube TV folks? How are we doing? It's.
I hope they stayed strong.
It's tough out in these streets. They meaning like YouTube TV or
the people.
I
hope they
okay.
didn't go to ESPN and get the free and use their app.
Right.
That's what they wanted. You want to go to Sling or somewhere else? That's fine. Don't get that app. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah,
it's what they want.
If again you were in a coma, YouTube TV and Disney are at an impasse and have been for a few days now. ESPN, well, actually all the Disney channels not available on YouTube TV, just conveniently before a great week of college football. So that made life difficult, excessively so for most of us who, well, for YouTube TV customers who already pay for their TV subscription with a kidney at this point. I'm throwing everyone in jail. Just YouTube, Disney.
Oh, no, all of them. All of them belong in jail.
Yeah. Because
all of them.
We are at
except the fans.
Oh, well, right. Yeah, I wouldn't dare do that. We're at such a terrible place in sports watching in terms of like everything you need, which is crazy to think that, wow, watching DirecTV or, cable or dish or whatever, like maybe those were the good old days. Like, could I only record 2 things at once back then?
Yeah,
yes,
man.
But, so here's where we are, right? Like the Big 12 is out of their minds annoyed with ESPN as they have right to be with the coverage or lack of coverage that ESPN gives them, despite ESPN having holding some of the rights for the Big 12. Although they don't as much anymore, but it doesn't matter. Basically went out of their way to not go to a Big 12 school for College Game Day until they absolutely had to last week, right? You've got the NBA going to NBC, and all of a sudden fans are watching this NBC broadcast thinking, oh man, this is pretty good. ESPN, what have you been doing for the last 15 years?
And Prime.
Yeah, Prime. Oh man, that Prime broadcast,
Prime's
it's
also
so good.
NBC and Prime, all of a sudden they're actually talking basketball.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Not when Giannis is going to Los Angeles.
Oh my gosh.
What a novel concept to actually talk about what's happening on the court.
Amazon Prime, I am loving. Like the broadcasters are great because you're just Ian Eagle, I think is great. And Van Gundy is not my absolute favorite, but they're a fun duo. The in-studio crew is awesome. You got Blake Griffin, who never ages. You've got Udonis Haslem. You've got, who else is there? I'm missing Dirk. Dirk is there for this, which is awesome. And then they're standing on the LED court. They're literally mapping out plays. The whole thing is awesome. They've got the best theme song in the NBA by a mile. Actually, 1,000 miles. It's so good.
The knowledge.
So we're sitting there thinking, wow, ESPN, what did you do with the NBA for 15 or however long you've had it? And the answer is just a whole lot of meh is what they've done. Mike Breen excluded. A whole lot of meh. So I hope that means that ESPN steps up their product, but you've also got that ESPN buys the rights to Red Zone. All of a sudden, Red Zone gets more commercials, gets commercials and then has more.
They didn't have them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then ESPN pulls away from YouTube TV. YouTube TV is to blame for this. ESPN is to blame for this. It's all terrible. We're just in such a rough place when it comes to streaming sports. It's just insanely expensive.
It's Disney versus Google.
Yeah.
That's literally the argument here. Yep. It's billionaire corporations screaming at each other, and we will actually have to end up paying more because of the billionaire corporations.
Yep. So that's where we're at. It's just it's rough because then I'm even looking at college basketball, and you've got some streaming services there if you want to watch your team. Right now. I'm going to get it because I'm a sicko, but right now the Buckeyes are playing on Big Ten Network Plus, which is expensive. And you might be a team that's on Flow Sports and that's expensive, or Baller TV and that's expensive. And then you need do you need the ESPN app? Do you need Max to watch games on TNT? We are cooked.
I mean, Aaron, it literally says on there too, if you get the ESPN app, it's $39.99 for 1 year, and then they'll up it automatically to $49.99. And I promise you, after the YouTube TV and everything, as soon as they feel like they have the market share to do it, they'll jack the price up more.
Is it $39 a year or a month? That's a month. ESPN Yeah.
Did I say a year?
You said a year, and I was like,
Did I
wait,
say a
that's
year?
not
Oh,
bad.
I
I'll
meant a
buy
month.
that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. It's
No,
month.
that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It's a month is what I meant to say.
Yes.
Like, so it's like, and like, that's why I say don't do it. Get the free trial if you need to from Fubo or whatever you need. Like, and that's not because I'm trying to say like Google and YouTube is like the ones like getting hurt here. It's don't do what Disney wants you to.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it. It'll just be supporting their stupid decisions.
Yeah.
And we're the ones who pay for it. So it's yeah, Aaron, you're right. I miss just hitting the power button, and here it is. And listen, I love quad view and I love recording absolutely everything, but
yeah,
this is not what we signed up for. And also I've loved like TNT's coverage of like the Big 12. I think they've done a really, really solid job. I hope honestly that they get like they kind of seize control of the Big 12 media rights deal and they just kind of have the Big 12. I'd absolutely love that. So ESPN has been slipping for a long time, and there's a few really good pieces still there, but for as a whole, it has really, really slipped. I'm with you. So
that's my rant. I mean, my solution is just companies being less greedy, and that's not really a solution because we're not going to be at a point where that's a thing. So I don't know. My solution is subscribe to this show so we can eventually take over the world, and then we'll just give all the sports for free. Yep.
And then somebody will look after the shareholders finally. Someone. Those poor shareholders.
Yeah.
What I'm following is not any less radioactive, and that is because we're at the end of human decency. And we're at the end of human decency because, you know, and I didn't bring it up on the podcast sooner because I'm a peaceable guy. And I didn't care for the fact that on Labor Day, I walked into my local Sam's Club, as one does, $1.50 hot dog combo. Can't beat that. There were Christmas decorations up on Labor Day, and that was an abomination. And that's skipping Halloween and Thanksgiving. And all we've had this whole time is Christmas decorations and Halloween. And now that Halloween's gone, once again, we are skipping Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving doesn't even exist. And we are skipping right to Christmas. And I'm not about that. No, I do not want to hear Mariah Carey on the radio right now. I have no interest in that. It is November 3rd today. And we should be celebrating thankfulness and this beautiful fall weather, and not trying to waste it and look ahead and not be in the moment to gloomy, gray winter days that are dark and damp, and enjoy the bright colors of fall and food. And this is the best month of football. November needs to be celebrated, and we need to not skip it and start celebrating Christmas early. I know a lot of people disagree with me. Honestly, this might be the most hate I will get on any take I've ever had on here, more so than the Chicago take or anything else I've ever had.
I love how you say the Chicago take, and like most of our listeners know what you're talking about.
They know exactly what I'm talking about, but I was right.
Yeah, you were.
And I'm right here as well.
Yeah.
Celebrate the holidays in order. There's not an American holiday more American than Thanksgiving. Even the 4th of July. Thanksgiving is more American than the 4th of July. I said it. And we need to celebrate it properly. Songwriters, artists, please. And if you are listening, that is my call to action to you. We need some Thanksgiving songs. I don't know if we call them carols, but we need some Thanksgiving songs. That's the true root of the issue here. There's not enough pride in the celebration of Thanksgiving. It has its own culture. We have overlooked it, and it's starting to be taken over by Christmas. Not starting. It's been taken over by Christmas and hijacked by it.
Yeah.
We need to take our holiday back and create a better culture of Thanksgiving and celebrating it. And by doing so, we will put Christmas back where it should be.
So I'm obviously not going to fully agree with you as someone who's not like just a complete Scrooge when it comes to Christmas, but there are some key points in there that I agree with you on. Number one, the music, absolutely. Number two, I think some of the I don't want to say hate because that's stronger than what you're expressing right now. Some of your disdain for early Christmas celebrations. Obviously, Labor Day, that's insane. What are we doing? Like, November 1st is a great time to start celebrating Christmas. I get that. But Labor Day, what are we doing? What the problem is we have so much runway up into November. Like, October is maybe the best month of the year. But it gets overshadowed
October
by
and November are two of my favorites.
Yes, absolutely. I think the real heart of the issue here is that Halloween is just massively overrated. Like, we don't need to celebrate.
So overrated.
We don't need to celebrate Halloween the entire month of October. In fact, you could actually just celebrate it on the 31st and be fine.
Just celebrate fall, man.
Yes.
Also,
October
I'm
and November
seeing,
should be fall.
It should also be jail for people who keep putting up these 30-foot structures of skulls.
Correct. Yes. That is the heart of the issue. That's why Thanksgiving gets overlooked.
Jail, man.
Yep. Because by the time they pull down that 30-foot structure, it's like the first or maybe second week of November, and then the next thing is Thanksgiving, and they maybe don't feel like they have time to properly celebrate because they have wasted that time by celebrating something pretty pointless. So now I'm not going to say eating candy is not pointless, like, because eating candy is great.
No, but Aaron, I like it. You celebrate it on the day.
Yep.
You celebrate it on the day. That's what we do with Thanksgiving, but that's really what we should be doing with Halloween.
Yes.
Just fall. Fall decorations are great.
Yep.
But I don't need to see, I mean, poor Archer, which is his birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Archer. He is terrified by these clowns and skulls. We're scaring the dogs, people. If you don't care about anything else, we're scaring the dogs on the walks. They don't like this. And if it is inherently a bad thing to dogs, what are we doing? What are we doing? We need to get rid of these decorations. You know, you want a fun little cute ghost? That's fine. That's fine. I don't need some ghoul that's 30 feet tall.
Right. And
I did see one,
you know what?
a yard decoration
you
with
don't need
Jaws. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't need it. I did see a cool one, though, that was Jaws, like, attacking a pirate ship. Now,
That's
again, very cool. Like, bring back cool decorations.
Yeah.
Not these, like, insane ones.
Yep. I'm with you. So that, like,
my rant.
Christmas will always infringe because Christmas is just objectively the best, but we can do better. I'm with you, Johnny. Sort of.
Okay, Aaron's anti-Halloween with me. I'll take that as a win.
Yep.
That's a win for me, Aaron. That went much better than I expected. And I'm going to take Josh's consent as well, despite him not being on here.
I think
we're
would
all
agree.
together on this.
Yeah.
This is an anti-Halloween podcast now,
Right.
branded.
Yeah. Well, because then
Except
there's
for
a whole
candy corn. I love
conversation
candy
of
corn.
what's more important, Halloween or the Reformation, you know? Like, we can get into that conversation on our secondary podcast.
When Josh is here.
Yeah.
That feels wrong to get into that without
He'd
Josh.
feel so left out, and we can't do that to him.
Maybe we should do it.
Oh, yeah, that'll teach him for ditching us. Josh, we're going to talk about the Reformation, which we could. That may be a second podcast idea. Anyways, action statement. Take down your Halloween stuff if you haven't already. What are you doing?
Man,
I'm not trying to
Christmas
judge
stuff
you
yet.
because this is generally a judge-free zone here. But what are we doing? Yeah, go celebrate fall. Go watch some action this week. That's how to celebrate fall.
Pet a dog.
Yeah, they're
Unless you're allergic, then
Yeah.
don't.
well,
But-
right. Yeah. Yep. All right. Listeners, viewers, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. We will be back next week. A lot of college football to break down. It's a wild time. We'll have more progress on the MLS postseason. We'll have more college basketball to talk about. It's a great time in the sports calendar. It might be just the best 2 months in general of the year. So hope you're doing well with all of that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting this show. Like I said, if you haven't already, feel free to like and give a 5-star review on whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Go ahead and give us a rating. I'd prefer it to be 5 stars, but you can be honest. And then if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are real close to 10,000 subscribers. So that's exciting. So help us out with that. We'd appreciate it. It just supports us and lets you know when we're going live and when we've got other content coming out, like college basketball stuff and more. So thanks for your support of this show. We couldn't do it without you, and we'll talk to you all next week. Have a good one.